Skoda has been on the up and up for a decade or so, and the Yeti mid-sized SUV has been an important part of that journey. When it launched in 2010, the segment was incredibly niche, but fast forward 6 years and the SUV market is booming. Still, the Yeti had its most successful sales year in 2015, holding its own against much newer rivals. In 2018, a new Yeti will hit our roads. So, as a swan song of sorts, we're putting the current model to the ultimate test. Where?
Bhutan, of course. Why Bhutan? Well, it's one of the most remote countries in the world. Some consider it the ultimate Shangri-La, which means it's going to push the Yeti to its ultimate limits. There's a second reason which is slightly more tenuous, and that's because local people believe that this car's namesake, the mythical creature the Yeti, exists. So we're in an Indian spec Yeti, but it's actually really similar to one in the UK. It's a 2 litre with 148 brake horsepower, and we're slowly climbing into the mountains of Bhutan. The road's a little challenging. It goes from really smooth tarmac to just being absolutely broken with just massive cliffs down the side. It's a little nerve-wracking. So for about the last half an hour, it's been really treacherous. I'm incredibly grateful we've got off-road tyres and we've used off-road basically the whole way. Our Yetis were blessed by a llama, which I'm told is like a senior monk. I feel like we're going to be much safer having had our cars blessed. I've always liked the Yeti, but I have to say that it's really holding its own. I've been really comfortable. We've been in the car for God knows how many hours. The roads have been ridiculous, which means we haven't had the smoothest ride, but that would be the case in any car we'd been in. The 4x4 system's handled a lot of tricky situations, and our cars are now absolutely covered in dust. So we've just been to the weaving centre. The intricacy of their work is absolutely amazing. One of these silk weaves, it takes 2 months. It's just, the patience is just crazy. So we're on day 2. We're only doing 60k today, which doesn't sound like very much, but as you can probably hear, it's actually pretty hard going. We're heading up to 3,530 metres, which is, well, very high. This morning I genuinely didn't mind getting back in the car, which hasn't always been the case on a long road trip, depending on how comfortable the car is. So we're very high now. I thought the Yeti might struggle on the way up just because of thinner air, but actually it coped with it really well. Noticed almost no difference in terms of power. We're just about to meet someone who has written a book about the real Yeti. She's called Qashqai.
I started compiling the stories that I had heard in my childhood. What I found very interesting was the stories were very consistent, the descriptions were consistent, the human interactions were consistent. So there must be something that is in the Himalayas, something that's supernatural. I'm sure there are a couple of Yetis watching us and wondering what these strange creatures are doing down there.
It's the end of day 2 and I'm in my tent. The final 6 kilometres of the journey was pretty rough. The underbody of our Yeti was hit a couple of times, but it's got protection, so it's absolutely fine. The Yeti's still been nailing it. Hill descent control and the 4-wheel drive system felt absolutely comfortable at all times. We've spent a couple of hours in Merak village, which only has about 30 Westerners visit a year. They have absolutely no concept of cars. It's really quite alien to them. It's an absolutely fascinating insight to a different way of life. We are off to watch a traditional Bhutanese dance. So it's the 3rd and final day of our journey in Bhutan. We're retracing our steps from the last 2 days, so we know there's a lot of rough road ahead. The journey down from Marek was as mental as we expected. The Yeti's ground clearance, which is 180mm, is also very useful. The 4-wheel drive system we've basically been in the whole time. It's a 5th gen Haldex coupling, which is actually in the new Ateca SUV, which I think sort of shows that it's sort of acceptable as ever. And I've actually got that car at the moment, and it works really well on that as well. We're on the last leg of our journey in Bhutan, and it's been the most amazing road trip. The breathtaking scenery and the absolutely lovely people make this a place like no other. And then there's this, the Yeti. I've never been a huge fan of its distinctive styling, but I'm starting to find a certain charm in its boxiness. Something I have always been a fan of is what it's like behind the wheel, and the last few days have reinforced that more than ever. It's proved itself capable in every single situation we've thrown at it. So then the new Yeti has a lot to live up to, in a crazily competitive segment. But given Skoda's recent run and how good this car still is, I'm betting it will be excellent.